Hello, on the sidelines fans. I'm your host, Cameron Capobianco, and joining me today is current San Jose Earthquake striker on loan from Toronto FC, Ayo Akinola. Ayo, thank you so much for joining me, and how are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for having me, man. Thank you.
No problem. So before we get into your time at Toronto FC, where you are right now with the San Jose Earthquake, let's just start with what made Ayo Akinola want to be a pro football player.
Honestly, it was just like a passion for me when I was younger. It was definitely something that was embedded in me and my brother. Something that we did when we were really, really young. And, at first we didn't really take it serious. We just thought it would just be like an extracurricular activity outside of school. So we didn't look nothing, you know, past it, just rather than just, finding something to do after school. But then from time and time we got better at it, and then people started to look at us and people started to scout us. So like that's when like we were going to the next level and the next level, so like higher and higher levels. So that's when we really finally started to take it serious and to really focus on being a professional athlete.
So before you made your debut for Toronto FC in 2019, you played for the academy and you also played for Toronto FC too. I know they're both in the same city. Obviously, you got Toronto FC two, TFC Academy, but were there any differences going from the academy to Toronto FC two, excuse me, in the playing style possibly?
So I actually made the debut. I actually made my first team debut in 2018
There we
when
go.
I
Yeah.
when I first signed. And I was kind of bouncing around TFC. So at first when I joined TFC two, it was just more of because I was still in the residency program with the US. So we had the summers off. So I'd be practicing with and playing games with TFC two during the summer times. So when I finally signed with Toronto, I was bouncing from the first team to second team, usually training with the first team, but training with the first team and then playing games with the second team. But like, like the difference is just um like back then it was USL, so we were in the USL championship, but it was just more of like a lot of physicality in the USL. Everything was a lot of high tempo, fast pace. They didn't really give you a lot of time and space on the ball. You know what I mean? While MLS and first team was a lot more controlled and organized and more detail oriented. Yeah.
So, absolutely. So how did them playing for the in the USL Championship with Toronto FC two sort of help prepare you for the MLS?
I think it kind of got me ready for like I think the biggest thing I took away was just more the physicality and the more intensity out of it. Just knowing that I've been playing games in the USL Championship kind of got me a little bit ready into going into first team game and into MLS matches. I think just I think just the high pace, fast tempo kind of like got me a little bit better, knowing that if my opportunity came within the MLS, that I'd be ready for it.
Absolutely. So I want to jump ahead to the 2019 season where you actually played in the home opener against the New England Revolution. Before we get into your goal in that home opener, also too, I just want to ask you what was going through your head when you stepped onto the pitch for the home opener in front of BMO Field in 2019.
Yeah, no, I was really, really confident. I could just see the way I've been training for the past couple of weeks building up into that game. I was feeling really good about myself. Yeah, obviously I was a bit nervous because it was my first start. And I had high expectations for myself. So, and I didn't really want to let my coaches down, knowing that they're giving me this opportunity to start. So literally I was just ultra ready and ultra prepared just for this game, knowing that I had a national team camp literally like in a couple days later with under 20s. So I wanted to leave off on a good note.
Absolutely. So let's talk about now that goal you scored against the New England Revolution. Can you maybe walk us through that goal if you can recall in that home opener?
Uh, I'm pretty sure we came off a throw in. We just received it, turned, kind of like trying to look for somebody, but knowing that the New England, the defenders were trying to give me space. So I just kind of dribbled in more, took a touch to the side to kind of like beat the defender and then just hit it bottom corner. If I believe if my mind serves me right, I think that's what happened.
Well, let's talk about maybe too the atmosphere too. When you put that goal into the corner, like what was going through your head after that goal went in? Like, do you recall like the fans going nuts? And what was like going on with you after it went in?
Yeah, no, I was very happy to score my first, MLS goal. But also, like, I think the biggest thing that was going through my mind was just like my mom and my brother were there at that game. So it was just more of like what their reaction was like, more so than the fans crowd, because my mom and my brother mean so much to me. So I think it was just more of like what were they reacting when I scored the goal. And my mom after the game told me like she was crying and like she was just very happy, like just joyful tears.
So that's a great feeling. I mean, just not a lot of parents really see their kids go up to the pro level like you did. I mean, they play rap, they play Toronto like USL. They never see them really go up to the MLS like you did. So I assume for you, after the game, that meant so much to you to see your mom at BMO Field watching you.
Yeah. I mean, as a kid, that's all that matters to me. As long as my mom is happy, then I'm good. And I'm very happy, like that as a striker, your number one thing is to score goals, and I was able to do that uh on the home opener in front of my mom and my brother.
Absolutely. So let's jump ahead now. Another season. I'm going to jump ahead to 2020. Obviously, the MLS is back tournament due to the COVID-19 pandemic, but that saw
Mhm.
you have 9 goals in 15 matches in that tournament, which saw you co-lead with teammate Alejandro Pozuelo. Was there anything you worked on during that offseason, and I'm going to put in quotations, pause during the pandemic to have this incredible tournament?
Yeah, I mean that year was just a really weird year. When we first got the news that we couldn't train and back in March, honestly we thought like maybe it was just maybe a couple days and we'll come back to training, or maybe a couple weeks and then we'll come back. But they were like just like the Canadian government law and everything like couldn't allow us to train for a while. And then we have to do individual training. You know what I mean? On our own, like just in our own backyard, or if you find it like a nearby field and stuff like that. So like it was just mainly working on my fitness for the most part, and then doing like workouts. Just trying to stay physically in shape. And then when we were allowed to do individual training at the facility, it was just more of like getting the reps, shots, touches on the ball, just getting ready for the tournament, knowing that anybody's opportunity could come up, you know. But yeah, it was just more of like a self-evaluation for myself. It was just more of like a self-reflection and just me personally trying to get physically in shape, just trying to get ready for that tournament.
Absolutely. So during your stint with Toronto FC, you so far won 2 Canadian championships with the team. So how much did it mean to you to win these 2 Canadian championships since you came all the way up from the TFC Academy?
It felt good. It was an honor. It was an honor. I know that's what we strive for, to be named the best Canadian team in the country, and that's what we always predicate ourselves to. That we want to be the gold standard of Canada. Toronto always wants to be the gold standard of Canada, so we usually take that tournament very, very serious. So, yeah, no, it's just an honor, and just happy to be able to win those two championships for sure.
Absolutely. So I mentioned earlier about you co-leading the 2020 MLS's back tournament with Alejandro Pozuelo. And this leads into my next question. What was it like playing with guys like Alejandro Pozuelo? Then you got guys like Lorenzo Insigne and Federico Bernardeschi. And then you also got local talent like Jonathan Osorio. So what's it like playing with these guys?
Yeah, no, I mean they just make the game easier for you. I mean they're much older than me, so they've seen the game way longer than I have. They have way more experience. So basically, so like when I play with those guys, especially for a guy like Pozuelo, the guy that I played with the longest, him and also those guys really are communicative. They really do talk to you, and they just see things that you probably may not see, or other players probably won't see. Playing with Pozuelo at MLS's back, and then our stay at Connecticut and Hartford. was just so easy for me because he would, like, the passes, the whatever I did for my runs, he'll just lay it to my feet and vice versa. Like there was a connection between us, and which it wasn't forced. It was just natural, you know. So obviously I miss playing with a guy like Paz. But our time back in 2020 at MLS is back, and then our stay at Hartford was really, really easy. Like it was a well-known connection between the both of us.
Absolutely. So, jumping ahead now to this season, I want to talk about your loan move to the San Jose Earthquake from Toronto FC. So far, with this loan move, have you found that there have been any differences about playing football in the United States and in Canada for the MLS, or have you found it to be like a little smooth transition from teams?
When you say training between US and Canada, what do you mean?
So what
Just
I kind of mean is like in the style of play, like the style of play between the Canadian side as well, or the American side.
yeah, okay, like I can see a difference because like when I was back in residency with the United States compared to like when I came back home for like training in Canada, there's a disparity between the two, 100%. Um, for this in particular, like the when I first came to San Jose, my first week of training, they really implement like intensity. You know what I mean? Intensity, a lot of movement, and like a lot of focus on repressing. I could kind of see like they really want to make you sharp. They don't want any surprises when it comes to the games. You know what I mean? And I kind of got that back in residency as well. It was a lot of short but high intensity trainings. A lot of drills with the attacking players or with the defenders, and like sometimes they'll just do a lot of one-on-one work with you. You know what I mean? Which us players we need. And they really focus and keen on like whatever you need as an individual, they can do it. They have the time to do it. You know what I mean? Um, so that's why I always said this to many people, like without the United States helping me in the past, I would not become the player I am today. I've always
Absolutely.
said I've always
Right.
said that from the beginning, and I will always stick by it. So just when I come to San Jose, it was just a lot of intensity, high performance football, and guys with the willingness to run. You know what I mean? You know, I know running is part of our nature, but like the guys when they find space, their willingness to run to create space for other players. I find a disparity into both of them.
Absolutely. And I'm going to get into the United States in just a bit with you representing the U15, U17, U20 as well. But before that, I just want to ask you about the next MLS match against the Vancouver Whitecaps. We're also now facing off against former TFC teammate Richie Laryea, who just signed now with the Whitecaps. So, what's sort of the message heading into that match?
Yeah, I mean, it's right now within the league, it's a battle of the standings because I know if my mind recalls, I think Vancouver is a point behind us, or I think we're just tied right now. I can't remember. So right now, like the Western Conference, the top six, top seven is really neck and neck. You know what I mean? So now every game matters. As the season's coming to an end, we only have like 11 or 10 or 12 games left. Every game matters, and every away game it has to. If not, we can't afford to lose, tie or win. You know what I mean? And for the mentality from these guys, I think that's the approach that they want to go into every game. That losing is unacceptable. Winning is our ultimate goal. So I mean, it's going to be a battle when we get to Vancouver on the 20th. But yeah, I think every guy here is up for the challenge and knowing that we can steal 3 points in BC place.
Absolutely. And I just want to ask you just for about the Richie Laryea signing and everything. Now that you know he's going to be your next opponent, from going from teammate to now opponent against Vancouver on August 20th, what's sort of going through your head when you step onto the pitch against him?
No, I mean just a friendly battle. I mean, that's my Richie's my guy. I love him to death, I have nothing but positive words to say about that guy because he always looks out for me, as him being an older player, a vet. within this league, and him playing overseas, I could confidently say like he always has my back, no matter if it's a constructive criticism, or like sometimes like if I just need to be yelled at, like he knows he's doing it for the right reason. And I never take it in a negative way, and for him, like I commend him for that. And I'm gonna try to steal his jersey after the game for sure.
Well, I love to see that happen too. I would love to just see that on TV. Hopefully, when that comes around, I'll definitely be watching that matchup between you and him.
Yeah.
But let's jump into now. Like I said, I want to mention this. You played for both the United States as well as Canada. And the reason I want to bring this up is because not a lot of players have represented two countries, the most notable one being Diego Costa, who represented both Spain and Brazil. For
Yeah.
you, what does it mean to you to represent the two countries that you played for?
I'm it means a lot. Um, you know, but the United States is the one that found me first, you know, and back at the time, not a lot of people didn't know I was American. A lot of people didn't know I was born in the U.S. They thought I was just born and raised in Canada, but that was not the case. You know, big shout out to my rep coach, Carlos. He's the one that kind of got everything, started and processed about me getting into my first camp, and along with Greg Vanny as well, helping me as well. But yeah, I mean, with the United States, like you can see they really take care of their youth development. They're really serious about their youth development because they expose you out in the world, no matter what it is. Like I played in Croatia, Argentina, India twice, England, Germany. Like I played like all. I've only been to I've been to every single continent except Australia and Africa, just because of the U.S. soccer, just because of U.S. soccer. So they really want you to they really force their young kids, and they expose the young kids and playing different countries, different nationalities, just trying to get you better. You know what I mean? So, and it has made me better. You see what I'm saying? Because I played along the likes of Phil Foden, Angel Gomez, Vinicius back when he came to the United States, Jadon Sancho. So like just getting those type of exposure when I was younger helped me grow as a player, knowing that if I came back to Canada, if I were with the academy or something like that, that I know that I'm levels ahead just because of playing internationally.
Absolutely. So I want to mention also the Canada because you played this past year. If I'm not mistaken, you played in the CONCACAF Nations League as well for Canada. If I'm correct.
Back in March, yeah.
Yes, correct. Okay. So the reason I want to ask is because what was that experience like for you playing at this past CONCACAF Nations League with Team Canada, a team that's still trying to grow the game? They just went to the World Cup in 2022 in Qatar. What does it mean to you to be a part of this growth?
Yeah, I'm very happy to be a part of this growth. You know what I mean? And I'm glad like, the growth is like the core guys is basically like the young guys, with Alfonso, Johnny, Tejan, you know what I mean? And more, just to put my name in part of the growth, really, you know, uh it's really an honor. And it's just the testament of John Herdman trying to believing on us young guys to really lift the nation, past its peak and try to expand ourselves out in the world, knowing that Canada is just not a hockey country. You know what I mean? That we're also a soccer nation as well, or we're trying to become a soccer nation as well.
Absolutely. And my last question before I let you go, excuse me, is what are some pieces of advice you can give to younger kids, younger adults who want to follow in your footsteps and play at the MLS level or even play at the international level like you are now currently?
Um, I'll I'd say take it serious. Like if you know soccer is really your passion, and you know that you don't want to do anything but play soccer, then really stick to it. And I know they say motivation is a key factor, but me personally, I don't think motivation is motive because I really do think discipline is what overtakes motivation. If you have the discipline and the desire to keep on playing, if you want to become a professional athlete, then I'm pretty sure you'll go a long way. and also working on your weaknesses as well. You know, if you don't work on your weaknesses and then keep on strengthening your strengths as a player, you won't go far. But if you keep on doing those work, if you keep on doing it, then you'll go such a long way. But I think discipline over motivation, because sometimes motivation, some days you just don't want to do it. But discipline, you have to, you know, you're gonna have to do it because you have to. You know what I mean? So I think if your discipline overtakes your motivation, then the sky's the limit for you.
Absolutely. Well, I want to say thank you so much for joining me on this episode of On the Sidelines. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to do this. And thank you again, really.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me, bro.
Guys, Ayo Akinola of San Jose Earthquakes. I'm Cameron Capobianco, and we'll catch you guys next time.